Hello everyone, welcome to Sunya IAS. Guys, today in the CSAT batch, we are going to start a new component, that is the reading comprehension. Now, reading comprehension, has been pretty difficult in the last few years. If you talk about, the UPSC Prelims examinations before 2014, then, there was a very easy category of reading comprehension that used to be asked. There are different levels, various types of reading comprehensions, and previously UPSC used to ask a literary kind of reading comprehension. So what does that mean? That there is a passage given, there are things mentioned in the passage, and the question will ask about the explicitly asked information only. But now, as UPSC is evolving every year, the prelims have been a game changer. If you look at the last 3 years question papers, GS1 as well and CSAT as well. CSAT has been getting difficult beyond any bounds in the last few years. So here we will understand that how is reading comprehension important for a CSAT paper, what are the trends, and if you stay with us in this course, then I assure you something, but I'll tell you in the next slide. So let's get started. So if you look at the weightage, how important is CSAT? Because a lot of people tend to ignore CSAT, that what do we do by reading CSAT? But I will tell you today a difference, that people who have practiced CSAT questions and taken up a course and who have not, what are the type of mistakes they are making. Okay, so here if we talk about the weightage is very important. If we look at last 10 years question papers, be it difficult pattern or the easy pattern, consistently minimum 25 questions have been asked out of the 80 questions that you get in your CSAT paper. And since last 3 years, I am observing that a lot of students are getting good marks in the GS paper. They are crossing the cutoff also, but they are not able to qualify because of the CSAT paper, that is a paper 2. So here I would say that don't ignore any of the sections of your CSAT paper. One section you have quantitative aptitude, we call it quant very fondly, and another is logical reasoning, and the third one of course is reading comprehension. And if you see 25 questions out of 80, it is roughly 30% weightage. So I would advise you, don't ignore any of these things. Like there are a lot of students who are very good at math. They would think that we would do the math questions and RC is a cakewalk, we will just take it up as it comes. Guys, it doesn't work like that anymore. Yes, I'm serious, it doesn't work like that anymore. Let me give you a simple example. If there is a passage given to you, what we do is, people who have not really done practice, what you will do is, you will read the passage, and as an option you will take whatever is explicitly given in the passage. But if UPSC is asking you an assumption, then any information that is explicitly given in the passage can never be an assumption. Okay, so here we are going to deal with all the keywords that UPSC is asking. So let me tell you, for a given passage, the central idea, the message, idea, then assumption, inference, implication, corollary, all these things can be different for the same passage. Okay, so this is very important for us to understand that what is UPSC actually asking you to find out based on the passage. So today's class is going to be a small introductory class, plus we will decode one keyword today. Okay, got it? Now let's go. And with all these things, we will, I think we will ponder upon a couple of poems from your class as well. Now, what is the aim of the course? Why are we here? So if there are 25 questions asked, and if you follow the course properly, you will get 15 questions net correct in your paper. That is the kind of practice we are doing. The format of the class is going to be in a way that one lecture, the first lecture like today, we are going to decode a keyword that UPSC has been asking repeatedly, and then the next class you will get a worksheet and we will solve the worksheet, so that you can apply your understanding and check whether you have understood the correct things or not. So let us understand the main features. We are trying that you get maximum output out of minimum efforts. We are going to focus on concepts more than tricks, because if you look at the 2023 paper, no tricks or formulas worked. Okay, it was all concept based. Here there will be a smooth blend of concepts and formulas. We're talking about LR and quant here, and there is a team of IITians who's holding you strong since last 3 years, and yes, we are doing the same thing again. We will also emphasize on time based problem solving, and the medium of delivery of lecture is going to be English. Now let us talk about the comprehension strategy. Okay, most of you are this confused, okay, that what do we do? Why? Because comprehension is something that consumes a lot of time, okay, that consumes lot of time. So here I am going to teach you how to read a passage. I very well know you have read a lot and you know how to read, but specifically for reading comprehension, what sort of a reading do you need and what sort of an idea do you need? Because you know we have a limited period of time in which we have to do n number of questions in the examination, and we seem to have a scarcity of time in the examination when it comes to the CSAT paper. So in this class we are going to learn how to save time. We are going to cultivate a better understanding on how to read passages in a given span of time and get output out of it. How we will skip unwanted info out of a passage, because you know the trend these days is that very long passages are given and you will end up losing lot of time if you don't read it correctly and skip unwanted info. Also, skipping unwanted info also mean that you have to grasp the important points. We will learn how to stay focused and how to get to the core idea of what is being asked. Okay. Now, whenever reading comprehension comes to our mind, there is the first question: what do we read first? There are some people who would read the passage first, and there are some people who are very much trained in the school wala examination part, and they would read the statements first. So what will we do? Will we read the passage first or will we read the statements first? Neither of them. Okay, we are not going to read either of them first. So then what are we going to read first? You have to watch the lecture to understand that. Okay, so let us understand a few more misconceptions. A few more misconceptions about reading comprehension. A lot of you would think that reading comprehension does not give you guaranteed marks. Yes, it happens, but I am not, at Sunya we are not guaranteeing you will get all 25 questions correct of RC. No, 15 net questions you will get correct. Now, the first thing is you will have to stop thinking that you have less time. Because the way we are going to practice, okay, today and in the upcoming sessions, we have been doing it since years, you will be solving a reading comprehension within 1 to 1.5 minutes. Okay, so you will need to save time. You will need to learn to read in a way that you save time. So let us understand how to save time. The first learning of this class. Okay, so I will read with you. Right, I'll stand on the other side so that you can read the passage with me. Now, this is a 2023 PYQ as you can see here, and that's what we are trying to read. There is a claim that organic farming is inherently safe and healthier. The reality is that because the organic farming industry is still young and not well regulated in India, farmers and consumers alike are not confused. No. Since you think you don't have time, you're going to rush through the passage without putting anything in your mind. So here the first lesson comes up. Let's see what is the first lesson. So how are we going to read the passages? There is a claim that organic farming. So now when we are reading, along with the reading, what we will do is we will constantly think of the keywords. So here I am going to make a box around organic farming, because from the first line, since I read it with peace of mind without thinking I have less time, I know that this passage is going to be about organic farming, or at least it will be one of the ideas or concepts. Now, the reality is that Because the organic farming industry is still young and not well regulated in India. It is not well regulated in India. This is an important point. So, as and when we read the passage, we are going to mark important information. Farmers and consumers alike are not only confused about what products are best for them, but sometimes use products in ways that could harm them as well. So, it is talking that organic farming is safer and healthier. Then it says that it is not well regulated in India. People are confused and they use it in a way sometimes that it harms them. So, we are going to build up idea of the passage in our mind. Each sentence should build an idea and the other sentence should top up on the idea. We are not reading it in a hurry at all. For example, since organic fertilizers are difficult to obtain on a large scale in India, so here are the challenges. Okay, write challenges and point it out. Often use farmyard manure, so they don't have fertilizers, so they are using whatever is at their disposal, which may contain toxic chemicals and heavy metals. Certain plant sprays such as dhatura flower and leaf spray. So now this is a very vivid example of one substance. Have an element called atropine. Now this atropine is not important for us. UPSC is not going to ask you which is the element found in dhatura leaf and flower. If it is not, also if you can not pronounce or read this thing properly, just let it go. It is a technical term and really is not going to make any difference for use in solving the MCQ. If it is not applied in the right dose, it can act on the nervous system of the consumer. So this hazard nervous system, unfortunately, how much and when to use it are not well researched or regulated issues. So we are again talking about regulation here. Now we have read the passage, but we did not know what to look at. This is the first mistake. I told you we will ponder upon what to read first. Let's read the statements first. Organic farming is inherently unsafe for both farmers and consumers. Farmers and consumers need to be educated about eco-friendly food. Now you can or cannot find the same information from the passage. So here is the key to solving your passages more effectively. You have to read the keyword. What is UPSC asking you? If you know that you have to make an extended assumption, what is an assumption? Assumption is an imaginary component based on the premise that you are given. Okay, this is the premise, this is the information that you are given, and assumption will be an imaginary component. Now there are a few rules to find out assumptions. The first one, assumption will never be explicitly given in the passage. Second one, an assumption will never negate the premise. So for an assumption to be true, the given information needs to be true. If these two conditions are satisfied, then you can mark an option as an assumption. Now luckily last year the RC component, reading comprehension component, has been quite easy and doable. So now let us understand, now since we know the two rules of assumption, that it will contain some component which is not mentioned, but the same statement cannot negate any of the information given here. Two simple basic rules to find out an assumption. Usually assumption is one of the most difficult ones. I have picked you a very easy question so that for the beginning it is better for all of us. So based on the above passage, the following assumptions have been made. The first one, organic farming is inherently unsafe. Now here see, it is contradicting the information given here. It says it is inherently safe and healthier. So what I am going to do is I am going to cross out this one straight away. When you do this, please ensure you do that, so that a lot of times what happens in the examination is, in spite of knowing the correct answer, we sometimes tick the wrong option. So not to get into such things, we will practice this method, and yes, you can do that on your examination paper. There is no one stopping you from doing that. Okay. Farmers and consumers need to be educated about eco-friendly food. So now here the second one. alike are not only confused about what products are best for them, but sometimes they use it in a wrong way. Now this is the challenge, that farmers don't know how to use and consumers don't know how to choose. So yes, an assumption can be made from the passage that the author is talking about what? Farmers and consumers have to be educated about eco-friendly food. So since it is not negating any information in the passage, since it is not explicitly mentioned, but it is something that can be assumed. Okay, we will do a lot of examples, I'll tell you real life stories, and we will draw assumptions out of it. It's very fun, but for today you have to just understand this thing. So now you guys are getting it. If you do not follow this course, maybe you would be taking neither 1 nor 2, because this is also not given and this is incorrect according to the passage. But if you have done practice of your reading comprehension section, then you will not only be saving time, but you would be getting a lot of marks in your CSAT paper. So here a very easy example from last year's paper, and this is how we will go about it. So quickly reading the passage is not going to help you to save time. Reading the options first is not going to save time. You will have to understand what is UPSC asking you, and then we will take it further. Okay. Now let's look at another example from 2022. Now guys, see here, we have written a note that 2 questions from this passage. So yes, since 3-4 years this has been a trend that there will be a big passage and there will be 2 or 3 questions asked from the same passage. Like 2022 had lot of 3 question passages. Now here, in simple matters, now it says, now we know what are we supposed to read. We are supposed to understand the message. Now what is a message? We will do this, the technicality of this keyword as well. Message is something that will have a broader meaning. Okay, we have all the religious people preaching, and there is a message that religion gives out. So the message is always a very broader outlook of the passage. Let us read the passage. In simple matters like shoemaking, we think only a specially trained person will serve our purpose. So we are talking about some specially trained person, we are still not getting the gist. Let us go ahead. But in politics, we presume that everyone who knows how to get votes knows how to administer a state. So we are talking about politics explicitly in this passage. When we are ill is a guarantee of specific preparation and technical competence. Okay, yes, we look for a doctor, right? We do not ask for handsomest physician, no one does, right? Or the most eloquent one. Well then, when the whole state is ill, should we not look for the service and guidance of the wisest and the best? So here, what is the author doing? He is equating skill-based profession that we prefer. Okay, if you want to buy a handbag, you would prefer a certain make, a brand. Why? Because, yeah, of course, it's a status symbol. But why did it become a status symbol? They're more sturdy, they're well crafted. The job is done very properly. When you're sick, you would go to one of the best doctors, not to the handsome doctors, right? So now let us look at the options. Now this is a difficult level question I have got for you. The last one was an easy one, but we need to practice everything, okay? So here, we assume that in a democracy, any politician is qualified to administer a state. Now, this is not the message that the author is trying to give out by giving you examples of a doctor and a shoemaker, okay? We are talking about skill-based profession, okay? Now here, so the author is not putting any onus on us that we assume this thing. Politicians should be selected from those trained in administration. Now, you will not always reach the correct answer first, but yes, this looks like a viable option, so we will put a question mark here. We need to devise a method of barring incompetence from public office. Yes, this may be the answer as well. As voters select their administrator, the eligibility of politicians to administer a state cannot be questioned. We are clearly questioning that here. So now we have to choose between these two options. Now if the keyword here would be different, the answer would change. But as we discussed, message is something that has a broader meaning, that talks about a larger vision. So politicians should be selected from those trained in administration. This is a very narrow thing, right? That anyone who has a degree in administration only should be taken up as a politician. The second one, we need to devise a method of barring incompetence from public office. So a message will not be a very specific statement, it will always be a broader statement. So here, based on that one, C will be the answer. We need to devise a method of barring incompetence from public office. Now see here, we have it, when we are ill is a guarantee of specific preparation and technical competence. We do not ask for handsomest and eloquent one. So here we are barring people from practicing medicine. Only person who has an MBBS or an MD degree can practice medicine. So similarly here also we will have to put in some mechanisms on check. That's what the passage is talking about. You're getting my point? So now you know how we are going to save time on the passage. Now there is another huge misunderstanding that everyone has, that you will have to have excellent vocabulary to tackle your reading comprehension. So guys, please don't work on building up a vocabulary for your prelim examination. You don't need a fabulous vocabulary. Also, lot of times the passages are related to our GS syllabus, and it might be a case sometimes that you have read an article in a journal or in the newspaper and that appears as an RC. So then what are the chances of you applying your extended information to the passage? We are not supposed to do that. We are just supposed to limit our analytical skills to the given passage, not extend it to our GS knowledge. So here is the mistake that we do. We assume things when we are not asked to, and we will take the answer based on that. So 3 important things: we will not rush up. So in terms of saving time, what will happen is we will try to read the passage in a very huge rush kind of a thing. Then you will look at the options, you will be confused, what do I do? You will again read the passage, you are tensed, you have read it once, you have wasted 1.5 minutes maybe or 1 minute, you will again read it. So you will have that clock going on in your mind, you will again not be able to read it. Then most of us does what, puts a circle or folds the paper, goes on to the next question, that I'll revisit this question. So in that thing we end up reading the same passage 3 to 5 times. But no, we are not doing that. We are reading it just once and we are arriving to an answer. And yes, that's what we are doing. That's the only thing that we are doing. Okay, we're not reading it again. We will read a component or a part. I will teach you labeling components and parts and everything. We will also understand deleting important, unimportant information from the passage. So what are the types of questions that are asked? You are asked a central idea. You are asked an assumption. We did an assumption example today. Then you will be asked inference, most logical and rational inference. So there will be a lot of prefixes and suffixes given to that. Let us take another example from 2021, and it is an example of assumption. Let us read it. Okay. Now here I am going to burst your second myth. What is that? That you need to have a very extensive vocabulary. Here, let's read this. No, we are going to take what is being asked of us. An assumption is being asked from us and we will understand the passage in that line. Fig trees. So we are talking about some trees. I don't know what a fig is. In case you don't know, it's okay if you don't know what a fig tree is. We will just read the passage, okay? Are considered sacred in India. Okay, so this is important. Sacred in India, like if we pray to them, we feel that they are the representatives of God or maybe symbols of God kind of a thing. East Asia, Africa and are common in agricultural and urban landscapes where large trees are absent. So where do we find it? In urban spaces and agricultural spaces also, wherein a thick forest cover is not there. So this is point number 1. It talks about where you can find it. The sacred is what they are considered. In natural forests, fig trees provide food for wildlife when other resources are scarce and support a high density of frugivores. And density and diversity. So here what is it saying? They are found in forests also. They are found in forests also, and when there are no other trees which are fruit bearing or which are not able to provide food to the animals, birds or any other species, wildlife, then these will support, okay, frugivores. Now if you don't know frugivores, UPSC is not going to be harsh on it, gives the meaning in the bracket, fruit eating animals. If frugivorous birds and bats continue to visit to fig trees located in sites with high human disturbances, if these birds and bats continue to visit in high human disturbances, matlab urban wala, right? Sacred fig trees may promote frugivore abundance. Under favorable microclimate, plenty of seedlings of other tree species would grow around. So what it is suggesting? That other birds would visit or animals and they would help in seed dispersal. Okay. Now here we have to find the assumption. So let us look at this. Fig trees can often be keystone species in natural forests. Now a lot of us would not know what a keystone is, but if you have done your environment studies well, you would know that it is a very important species in an environment. It's known as a keystone species. So I don't know meaning, so I will just put a question mark here because I would not negate it right away. Fig trees can grow where other large woody species cannot grow. Okay, it is explicitly saying that where it can grow and where it cannot grow. But here we saw that it grows in agricultural land also, in urban areas also, and in forest also. And in forest, you find a lot of large woody trees. So this assumption here is negating the information given in the passage. It is negating its premise. So it can never be true. So looking at that, I am going to cancel 2 of my options. Now, if in case in the examination you are getting the new type of options, how many of these are correct? Only 1, only 2, only 3, don't worry. You will not follow this step, but these steps are going to be the same. Okay, here. Sacred trees can have a role in biodiversity conservation. So what we read here is plenty of seedlings of other tree species would grow around. So yes, biodiversity, this is what we mean by biodiversity. Okay. Now our answer rests on the 4th one. Fig trees have a role in the seed dispersal of other tree species. Yes, they don't go and disperse it, but the animals and birds coming to eat the fig fruits have. So if 3 and 4 both are correct, then 1 is also correct. And yes, ketone species means it also writes it here that yes, it supports the ecosystem of the forest by giving shelter and food to lot of different diverse species. So here our answer will be 1, 3 and 4. Getting it, guys? It is very simple, very easy. You just have to take care of a few things that we tell you here. Now, another types of questions you will be asked: inferences, corollaries, crux. Corollary is a different word, we literally do not understand the meaning of it. Critical inference, what of the above sums up the given passage? What is the critical message given? Suggestions are asked sometimes, and in the examination, when you look at the RC passages, this is how the options look like: 2024, 2024, 2024, 2024, 2024. Right, so we don't have to be confused about this, but we are going to solve it in the best possible way it can be done. So today we are going to decode one of the most easiest keywords, that is the central idea. Now, what is a central idea? Now, when you will look at a passage, the passage will contain a central idea and supplementary ideas which will add up to create this one. Say, I think a lot of you would have studied this poem by William Wordsworth. I'm not sure it's by William Wordsworth, I think it's by William Wordsworth. So, the woods are dark and deep, but I have miles to go before I sleep. I think it's one of the favorite lines of the UPSC aspirants, because that's how we live, right? So, the literal meaning is the woods are dark, deep, I have miles to go before I sleep. It is talking about that the author is in a forest. It is one of the ideas. It is talking about the author does not have time to rest. The author has to walk a lot of miles. But what is the central idea? The central idea is what the author is trying to convey, that the author has a lot of work to do, right? Whatever the circumstances are around, the author has a lot of work to do. That is what we call the central idea. There's another poem, I don't remember the author. Blow, blow thou winter wind, thou art not so unkind as man's ingratitude. So what is I think it's by William Shakespeare. What is the poet here trying to do? The poet here is comparing the harsh, cold winter wind with man's behavior. Okay, so the idea, one of the ideas would be that, you know, the wind is too cold in winter. But if you look at the central idea, what the author is trying to say via various comparisons is that man's behavior is the most harsh and untrustworthy. So that would be the central idea of the passage. Now, things are better done than said. So let's do a few examples. Last year in 2023, UPSC did not ask any of the questions on central idea, which makes me think that yes, 2024 we will have 2 or 3 central idea questions for sure. So here what are we supposed to find? Main idea. So main idea and central idea are the same things. Don't get confused that no, ma'am had taught central idea, this is main idea, what will I do? It's the same thing, okay? It's a synonym, main and central. Let's read. The majority of people who fail to accumulate wealth, oh my god, this is one of my favorites, accumulate money sufficient for their needs, are generally easily influenced by the opinions of others. So what is it saying? People who don't have enough money are influenced by the opinion of others. They permit the newspaper and the gossiping neighbors to do the thinking for them. Now, who are these they that we are talking about? People who fail to accumulate money. Opinions are the cheapest commodities on the earth. Yes. You all will have an opinion about someone you don't like, or you might have an opinion about me also, but it's fine, everyone has an opinion, it doesn't cost anything. So yes, everyone has an opinion. Everyone has a flock of opinions ready to be wished upon by anyone who will accept them. So yes, if there's someone going and you say that, you know, you're looking fat today or you're looking pretty today, they will buy the point very quickly. If you are influenced by opinions, when you reach decisions, you will not succeed in any undertaking. So what does it say? That if you are influenced by others' opinions, you will not succeed. Now, we are being asked the main idea. Okay. This question, I think it was difficult for most of people in the examination, but once you will understand the gist, you will know it was not that difficult. People should not be influenced by the opinions of others. I think the passage says this out loud. People who fail to accumulate wealth are influenced by opinions. Everyone has opinions, they will give you, and if you listen to other people's opinions, you will never be successful. So yes, this is a probable answer, but in the first go, we are not taking the answer until we read all the other options. People should accumulate as much money as they can. It does talk about people who have not accumulated enough money, but it is not telling people to accumulate money. The text would be different. People should neither give nor accept opinions. Now it is not telling one should not give opinion, it is saying not accept opinion. People have their opinions. People will succeed in any undertaking if they do not accept any opinion. Now this is a classic example of one idea that is explicitly mentioned, given as an option. Most of you, according to our school time practice, will take this option, but no, this is not the correct option. Main idea will never be explicitly given in your passage. So here we are, people should not be influenced by the opinions of others is the correct answer. You getting it a little bit? I think so, yes. So let's move on to the next question. So for the central idea, the rule is we are not falling for the explicitly given information. We are not falling for the subsidiary ideas or the surrounding ideas that make the central idea. Just two things you have to take care of and you will reach the central idea. So you have to understand what the author is talking about. Let's do another PYQ from 2021. So yeah, we are finding the central idea again. In our schools, we teach our children all that is there to know about physics, maths and history and what have you. Now here, these are subjects, what is being taught in the school. So in case you have to read the passage again, you are not reading the subjects again, you know these are examples, these are subjects, they are not important for us. But do we teach them about bitter caste divide that plagues the country, about the spectre of famine that stalks large part of our land, about gender sensitivity, about possibility of atheism as a choice? So here, what is it? We are talking about social issues. So we are teaching our children subjects but not social issues is the gist of the entire thing till here. Equally important, do we teach them to ask questions or do we teach them only to passively receive our wisdom? Talking about the school system, right? I know most of us are like scared to death to raise the hand and ask something to a teacher. This is what it's talk about. From the cocooned world of school, suddenly the adolescent finds himself or herself in the unfettered world of university. So now we're talking about the child growing up from school to university. Here, so this is just a transitionary statement wherein we're talking about what will happen when the kid will get out of the school and face the real world. Here, he or she is swept up in a turmoil of ideas, influences and ideologies. Yes, there will be a lot of exposure. For someone who has been discouraged from asking questions and forming an opinion, this transition can be painful. Okay, now let's look at all these questions. School curriculum is not compatible with the expectations of children and parents. Now here, we are not just talking about schools, we are talking about children. So it can never be about school curriculum. We are looking at the central idea. So this is one of the ideas, the first one. In schools, the syllabus is not fine. The first statement is written here in different words. Emphasis on academic achievements does give time for development of personality and skills. This is negating the information given in the passage. Preparing the children to be better citizens should be responsibility of the education system. We are not talking about putting responsibility on the education system as well. To be a better citizen, the present world order demand societal and life coping skills in addition to academic content. So here, in addition to academic content, so we are saying that we are teaching this but not this. What will happen when they go to college? So this is talking about, yes, that in the present world, we will need societal and life coping skills in addition to academic content. This is what the author is prima facie talking about. But guys, if we did not know what a central idea looks like, or what are the 2 small rules for finding a central idea, then we would be taking any of these 3 options and we will not be considering this one, thinking this is a vague statement given by UPSC. So now you understand RC is easy to score, but you have to understand a few nitty-gritties, a few rules, and you have to practice a bit. Without practice, you won't be able to solve anything. Another PYQ from 2021. Again, best reflects the central idea. Again, we are finding the central idea. Let us look at the question. The best universities like Harvard and MIT, despite having the luxury of having some truly excellent teachers on their payroll, are increasingly embarrassing the flipped classroom format. So now we are talking about best universities. The names don't matter, okay? They have excellent teachers, but they are encouraging flipped classrooms. Now what is flipped classrooms is given here. Format where students listen to video lectures at home and spend class time applying their knowledge, solving problems, discussing examples. So here what they're talking about, in spite of having, okay, in spite of having excellent teachers. The word here used is despite. They have the best infrastructure, right? No doubt, but still this is what they're doing. Professors guide that discussion and fill in whenever necessary, explaining those bits that seem to be eluding the students and throwing in advanced ideas that happen to be topical. These universities, so you know, as and when you're reading the passage, to me how it looks like, there's a picture that is being built in my mind that in Harvard and MIT and such big best universities, what happens is they have the best teachers, best infrastructure, but still they're encouraging students to go home and watch lectures, discuss, solve problems, and then go to the school, sit in a discussion, and the professor is just roaming around listening to the discussion and will just interpret whenever needed. These universities have made their video lectures available for free for anyone in the world. Important point. They are also encouraging colleges and universities all over the world to integrate these online courses into their own pedagogy. Now, if you don't know the meaning of the word pedagogy, don't get scared. That one word is not going to be that important for your answer, because you are finding the central idea. Picking the pieces that are appropriate for their needs and building a package around them. So the best universities are giving it all for free to other people. Okay, so we are talking about education, the way it is being taught here, and the way, in spite of having so much infrastructure, they are encouraging discussions, and they're also giving it out for free. So let us understand the options here. Efficacy of universities would be better in online mode of conducting classroom tuition as conventional method. Nothing is spoken about online method. It is said that listen to video lectures at home, okay, and spend class time. So they are asking them to come to class, not just stay home and study online, right? Availability of higher education can be made easier and cheaper without diluting the content. Yes, a probable option. We will put a question mark, but see, I'll tell you, it is a subsidiary idea. This part, these two sentences, they make up this one, okay. So let's put a cross now, since you know. Now we need not invest much in infrastructure related to higher education and yet develop better human and social capital. We'll put a question mark here, by the way. And private sector institutions in higher education as well as coaching institutes can take advantage of this opportunity and thrive well. So this will be an assumption, okay, that yes, private as well as other institutions can take advantage and thrive well, because thrive well is nowhere given here. It can be an assumption, a premise, and an imaginary component. But this is what we are looking for, is central idea and not an assumption. So we will ponder upon this option, because all these three does not fit in the conditions that we need for a central idea. We need not invest much. So here what it says, luxury of having truly excellent teachers. So they have human capital, hai na? They are embracing discussions and they are putting it for free. We do not need to invest in infrastructure related to higher education and yet develop better human and social capital. They are asking So here the free videos are given. Students can watch the video, go to college, discuss, and professors can guide the discussion. So this is what the central idea is, that you don't need to put up a world-class facility. You just need students' mind to get curious, for them to embrace their curiosity and solve problems. Another question from 2021, again we are looking at central idea. So see, the pattern keeps on changing. So maybe 2021 had a lot of central ideas, 2022 had 1, 2023 had none, 2024 might have 4. So it is important to practice every keyword that we are going to take up. Okay, nothing can exist in a natural state which can be called good or bad by common assent. Okay, a philosophical one we've got here. Since every man who is in natural state consults only his own advantage and determines what is good or bad according to his own fancy, and insofar he has regard for his own advantage alone and holds himself responsible that no one to save himself by any law. So it says that it talks about a basic human instinct, that we always do whatever is good for us. Okay. So it says that in a natural state, nothing is good or bad. Every man who is in natural state consults only his own advantage. Crux of it is this. And therefore, sin cannot be conceived in a natural state, but only a civil state, which is decreed by common consent what is good or bad, and each one holds himself responsible to the state. So say for example, what the passage is trying to say is, if I am living in maybe a jungle where there is no law, I might kill a tiger. If the tiger is trying to attack me, I'll kill a deer to eat it. I'm thinking about satisfying my hunger, so I'm not doing any sin. But in India, if I kill a tiger, even if it's attacking me, or if I kill a deer to feed my stomach, it is going to be punishable by law. And hence, in natural state, there is no good or bad, no sin. But in a state, a political state, wherein the rules are made by common consent, good and bad is conceived. Okay, now let us understand this. What is the central idea? That's what we are going to see. The conceptions of what is right or wrong exists due to the formation of the state. Well, put a question mark, seems very true, seems what it is trying to say. Unless a ruling authority decides as to what is right or wrong, no man would be morally right. Here, no man would be morally wrong should be the statement. This is negating the information given here. Man is inherently immoral and selfish in a natural state. No, we are talking about selfish, yes, I will think of only my good, but it does not necessarily mean immoral. So this is not given anywhere. We are talking about morality is only conceived when a state is formed and when there are common laws on which everyone has agreed to. The idea of what is right or wrong is necessary for the survival of human species. We are not talking about survival here. So yes, you are talking about right or wrong, it exists only due to the formation of a state. Otherwise, in natural state, there is nothing wrong, nothing right. Everyone will think everything that is done is good. Let us do 2 extra questions and then we will do the worksheet part in the next class, okay, not today. Again, central idea we are supposed to find. Unlike unemployment or starvation, deaths, one cannot blame the government for heat waves. Yes, you cannot blame the government if you have heat waves. Not a year has passed without its toll of death from sunstroke, and yet have the people being told effectively about the elementary precautions to be adopted, such as consuming extra salt to offset its natural loss in perspiration. And how many of the toilers on the roads can boast of a pair of chappals or some headgear toward of heat? It's a question mark. As for water even to drink. What a shame that decades of planning have still left thousands of villages without dependable supply. So we're talking about we cannot blame the government. We're talking about people are dying. We're talking about there's no water, right? We're talking about multiple things here. So now let us look at the passage. There exist severe limitations to prevent natural disaster. This is just the first statement that is given. It's one of the ideas of the passage, not the central idea. Measures to mitigate the effects of natural disaster must be widely communicated. They are widely communicated, so this is negating it is also one idea. Households must be provided with necessary supplies to address the needs of damaging. We are not talking about the government providing anything. So here our answer is none of the above given is the central idea to the passage. The central idea to the passage could be that people need to be more aware about taking precautions towards certain natural disasters. That's what the passage is talking about, right? Now let's go on to another question, the last one for today. Again, we are finding the central idea. Despite various propaganda, home pounded rice, rich in protein, has not been able to replace milled rice. Now, if you don't understand the meaning of pounded, it's fine. Milled rice, you will understand. Rice grows with a brown chilka cover on it, and then it's sent to the rice mills where they dehusk it, right? It's a husk, the brown husk. But traditionally there were no mills. People used to do that thing at their home. The polishing of the rice loses a lot of nutrients, and that's what the first line is talking about. It would be better under the circumstances to reduce milling to the minimum by replacing highly milled rice by miller parboiled rice and by reducing the amount of washing to which rice is subjected to before cooking. If you don't understand any of these terminologies, it's absolutely fine. We just have to understand that, stop washing rice 5 times before cooking. People need to understand. The human palate in the developing countries does not appear to be willing to make even this minimum adjustment in food habits. So now we are talking about one unhealthy practice that is being followed. Second, we are talking about another practice to be stopped, and third one, that in developing countries people are not willing to adopt it. They want that washed and milled rice. Let's look at the central idea. People of India must change their food culture for a healthier life. Can be. It is hard to change the food habits of people, especially in poorer households of developing countries. We are not talking anything about poverty in the passage. Milling of rice adversely affects the nutritional value of rice. Yes, if it had been only first 2 statements, this could have been a central idea, but no, we have the third statement as well. Developing countries needs to make far-reaching changes to upgrade their population for a healthy future. Now see here, this is the central idea that we are talking about. If it was an assumption, this one would have been true. But we are not talking about India in the past, we are talking about developing countries, and hence this one is your central idea. It talks about reaching changes, far-reaching changes, yes. The milling culture to home pounded, the washing to non-washing to parboiled to different things. So here D needs to make far-reaching changes to upgrade their population for a healthy future. This is the correct central idea for the given passage. Sometimes guys there will be times when you will not find something exactly resonating with the passage. Yes, this happens. So then you use those 2 rules and you eliminate the other statements and you get the correct statement. So guys, thank you very much for watching the class, and we will see you in the next class. We will solve the worksheet and we will also start decoding other keywords very soon. So stay tuned. Thank you very much.